Ayin Daled Avot Banim with Kollel Yismach Moshe, Bruchim Habayim. I'm glad to see everybody learning with such a hitlahavut. And I'm just gonna say one little story. And I heard that the pizza's on its way. I heard that the pizza on the way is sponsored tonight by Claude Biton. Thank you very much. And with his son-in-law, half plain, half veggie. And I want to tell you, this is a story about a child, and he was having a lot of difficulty in school. Already 10 years old, he wasn't religious at all. He lived in Eretz Yisrael, and his parents were Holocaust survivors, and he had a very hard time adapting to Eretz Yisrael. So little by little, he started hanging around with the wrong crowds. And he started, first of all, he wasn't very religious. He used to play soccer on Shabbat with all his friends, and then he wasn't really keeping Shabbat properly. And he discusses how he was with his friends, and one Shabbat, as they're playing soccer, they kicked the ball so hard that the ball went flying. There was a young rabbi, and it hit his hat. It flew right off. They said, "Oh, flying saucer, very good." So they were all laughing. They were saying, they got the rabbi's hat, bullseye. So the rabbi picks up his hat, and they go to him and says, "Hey, Rabbi, or you could say kiddush for us, or you could play soccer with us." Chutzpah. It was a little bit, it was a chut. You know what chutzpah means? Do I have to translate the word chutzpah? No? Please. No, we have to You're going to translate the word. So it was a big chutzpah. But what did the Rav do? He says, "Where are your parents?" He says, they're dead. He didn't have parents. He didn't have parents already. They died. They were older. So this Rav said, "Why don't you come inside and eat?" So they came inside. And this boy, he tells his wife to prepare him a plate. His wife quickly brought him a plate. And the Rav watched him as the boy ate the whole plate. Later, the boy said he realized it was really the Rav giving him his portion. And the boy ate the whole plate till he was full. And he says, "Thank you very much." And the Rav said, "Maybe you want to sleep a little." Shabbat afternoon, he had a whole meal. He says, "Yeah, I'll sleep." He slept. He was so tired, he slept the whole Shabbat. Till Motzei Shabbat. Motzei Shabbat, he wakes up, and the Rav says, "Do you need anything else? What, you want to do something?" Motzei Shabbat, he says, "Yeah, I want to go to the movies." And the Rav wants to go to the movies. He says, "I don't have any money." The Rav says, "How much is the movie?" He says, "This and this." So he gave him the money. It was a lira and a half. In those days, they didn't have shkalim. It was a lira and a half. So the boy went in. He says, "Thank you very much." He says, "Why don't you come back tomorrow?" The boy came back the next day, and he ate, and he slept, and he came back the next day, till this Rav started teaching the boy, and the boy became more religious. He went to yeshiva. Eventually, he became a dayan, a rabbinic judge, for 25 years. And when he was on the bus, one time, it was a couple years ago, somebody else got on the bus and said, "This is what I do." The Rav told him his whole story. So this young boy said, "Hey, who is this Rav that helped you? Like, where is he buried?" He says, "Buried? He's still alive. It was a couple years ago." He says, "What's his name?" He said, "His name is Rabbi Ovadia Yosef." That Rav who was so busy learning and had so much on his mind, make sure to take care of this little young boy, and he nurtured him and he took care of him until he grew up to be a very big dayan in Eretz Yisrael. Can you imagine? Now I want to tell you something. That Rabbi Ovadia Yosef cared about that little individual just like he cared about each and every single Yeled me Yisrael in this room. He cared so much about it, he dedicated a very large part of his life just to make sure that there should be schools and that there should be places that little children who don't have the opportunity, all of you children have the opportunity to go to schools where you learn Torah, and you should appreciate it. You should take that into account, that your parents spend a lot of effort and a lot of money to send you to schools, and you have to be able to take advantage that you have the right and you have the opportunity to learn Torah, but some children in Eretz Yisrael don't have the opportunity, believe it or not, to learn Torah. And Rabbi Yosef dedicated a large amount of his life just to make sure that there are schools for little children being able to learn Torah. I said this story once before, I'll say it again, that there was, Rabbi Yosef writes in a book of his that he at one point in his life, when he was around 50 years old, he was very troubled. He didn't really know what to do, whether he should spend so much time going around and building schools for little children, or writing books. He felt that writing books, a lot of people are learning from. What should he do? He fell asleep, and that night, the Ben Ish Chai came to him in a dream. He writes this, that the Ben Ish Chai came to him in the dream. The Ben Ish Chai was dressed beautifully in his garb and in his turban, and he tells the Ben Ish Chai, I don't know what to do. The Ben Ish Chai looks at his charim. He says, very nice, but he says, I don't know whether I should dedicate my time opening up schools and teaching the people, or should I be writing? Ben Ish Chai said, Mizeh u'mizeh al tanach yadecha. He took him in a dream. Do a little bit of this and do a little bit of that. And do both of them together. Don't give up. Both things give a lot of nahat ruach. Both things give a lot of pleasure to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You could imagine the amount of little children who are saying Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, just because of the schut of how many schools he opened up. Can you imagine when Rabbi Yosef was niftar, all of those malachim, all of those angels that were created because all the mitzvot went to greet him? This is a lesson that each and every one of us has the power to change a world. One by one. We don't have to conquer everything at once. One thing, we do one